Hello, everybody, and welcome to Narativ. Donald Trump continues to talk about war with Europe.
You are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No. Elon Musk is doubling down on his support for Germany's neo-Nazi movement, and Mark Zuckerberg says he's all in on Musk and Trump's march on Europe.
We're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies.
We'll go to Brussels tonight for a temperature check as a confrontation looms between America and Europe. That's tonight on Narativ. On May 7th, in 1945, German officers signed their surrender in a schoolhouse in France. And with their signatures came the end of the German Reich. 4 months later, on the deck of the USS Missouri, Japan's empire formally ceased to exist. The death toll from World War II was staggering. 70 million lives were lost, cities reduced to ash, and a world was transformed by unprecedented devastation. From the horror of concentration camps and the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the seeds of a new beginning were planted. The era of imperial powers was over, we thought.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says EU leaders are baffled after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump refused to rule out military action to gain control of Greenland.
He's also set his sights on the Panama Canal, claiming the US will take control of the crucial shipping lane. Canada is also on Trump's wish list. He wants to absorb the northern neighbour.
Trump has made these territorial claims before, but this time things are different. Front-page headlines echo similar sentiments in Canada, where they say Trump is no longer joking about making Canada the 51st state. And the leaders of Greenland were taken aback by a personal visit from Donald Trump's son.
Donald Trump Jr. touched down in Greenland's capital Nuuk this week, supposedly on a tourist visit.
We're here in Nuuk, Greenland. It's the founder, 1721. That yellow house with the red top was his original spot. That's where he moved. This is where it all started out here. Just incredible scenery.
Denmark's Prime Minister says Greenland's future is for Greenland's people to decide.
So what's changed in the 6 years since Trump first challenged Greenland's independence? Well, quite a lot has changed. The world has really shifted on its political axis. Firstly, there's the Arctic. There is now no doubt that climate change is here and that it will radically transform the world's trade routes. Now, the Arctic Council is comprised only of the countries that border the actual Arctic region. That includes Russia, Canada, Greenland, and it includes the United States if you include Alaska. However, Alaska has long been a target of Russia's ambition. In fact, they've made it pretty clear that they want Alaska back. That leaves America particularly unrepresented in the Arctic Council, hence their ambitions around Greenland and Canada. It's this situation in the Arctic that has really opened the door to all this imperial jockeying by the incoming administration. But it's not the only reason that the empire is making a comeback. In Ukraine, where Russia continues its relentless attacks, millions have died amidst Vladimir Putin's vast imperial ambitions. China, too, has long expressed its territorial interests over Taiwan and the South China Seas. In the Middle East, a resurgent Turkey appears to be retracing its Ottoman roots, seeking to regain control over Syria and Libya. In Israel, too, we've witnessed regional expansionism into Gaza and southern Syria. And if recent reports are true, the West Bank may soon be completely annexed by Israel, which brings us to the next reason why the empire is making a comeback. I call it the digital dominion, and there's no better example of that than Elon Musk's weaponization of Twitter, transforming it into a political weapon aimed at some of the world's most dedicated public servants. After taking part in the unceremonious ousting of Justin Trudeau, Musk has now turned his attention to Keir Starmer's government in the UK. And just this evening, Musk again doubled down on his support for Germany's AFP. So why are Musk and Trump going after all of America's allies in such an aggressive way? Well, there really is only one answer. All these moves only serve one nation's interests, Russia. And Europe is beginning to take notice. And not just Elon Musk. His new ally in the war against Europe is none other than Meta's Mark Zuckerberg.
Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there.
And just like that, America and Europe seem destined for a clash over social media moderation. And it's a confrontation that could rip NATO apart. We'll go to Brussels next for a check-in on how Europe is handling all this news.
Is the incoming Trump administration making you anxious? All the talk of war, chaos, and deportations keeping you up at night? We're here to help with a one-night special event, The Essential Survival Guide to the Trump Presidency, with Olga Lautman and Zev Shalev, Thursday, January 16th at 8 p.m.
And I'm joined from Belgium today by Bill Etchikson, who is a senior fellow at the Center for European Policy Analysis, who's been at the front lines of regulating social media for a very long time, including at Google in the past. What's being done on the front lines to try and tame Musk and company?
Well, Europe has a new law called the Digital Services Act, which is supposed to define and increase the responsibility of platforms like X, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for the content they host. And Musk is being investigated for breaking that law. And I think it's going to become very politically sensitive to Europe, whether they would like to crack down on Donald Trump's new best friend just before Trump takes office. So I think we're heading towards a transatlantic clash on content moderation.
Absolutely, because of course, Elon Musk is, as you say, a very good friend of Donald Trump, if not his number one benefactor, who's also potentially working for this new incoming government, the Department of Government Efficiency. It could become very serious conflict in terms of military and other escalation. This is not one of those things that you can guarantee going to stay only on the digital side.
No, you're exactly right. I think there's an increasing concern in Europe about Starlink, Musk's company that provides satellite communication. Musk's plans to interview far-right leaders in Germany are raising a lot of concern in Europe. The European Commission is definitely going to watch what happens in the interview and whether it does promote what they would consider illegal speech. The larger story here is that the U.S. has the First Amendment. Europe doesn't and believes that certain types of speech, such as Holocaust denial, are illegal. And people go to jail for promoting or for saying these illegal things. The U.S. is moving in the opposite direction, and I expect increasing tension between the two sides of the Atlantic over what's acceptable speech.
There is evidence that Musk is operating really as a asset of some sort of Vladimir Putin, and that we're looking at something here that is a weaponized social media platform that's being taken over by an adversary of democracy and an adversary of Europe.
I don't think this is just a question about Elon Musk. I certainly have no insights into some of the allegations or what you're talking about with ties, Russian ties with Elon Musk. But we do have in Romania TikTok and Russian meddling. The Romanian government has officially accused Russia of abusing and using influencers on TikTok to promote a far-right candidate. And it voided the recent presidential elections, which are going to now go to have to be redone. So I think this is a larger question about disinformation, about responsibility for platforms to control and take responsibility for what's on what they're hosting. And Europe is increasingly concerned about the impact on their elections from Russian, Chinese meddling. And I think there's some commonality with concerns in the United States about the misuse of these platforms.
In the broader context as well, you have Trump agitating against Canada, against Greenland, against the Mexicans, and also against Panama. Are we concerned about him using social media, and Elon Musk and even now Mark Zuckerberg has jumped on this bandwagon with Meta? These social media platforms are becoming digital weapons in terms of their dominion, are operating as soft forms of influence that have really impacted how governments are elected.
Yes, I think there's increasing concern in Europe, overall increasing concern. We're 2 weeks or a few weeks before the inauguration. Europe seems a little bit paralyzed, reacting to every statement that Donald Trump makes and Elon Musk makes. So I do think there's a lot of concern about, be it the